Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gloria if you are new here, and today I want to tell you guys about how Chinese language changed my entire life. In case you are seeing me for the very first time, I am an international student here in China doing my PhD, and I've been in China for about 5 years now. I did my master's previously and I'm now doing my PhD. Before I came to China, I already knew how to speak Chinese language, which is something that a lot of people wowed at and found incredible, because it's like most people come to China to learn Chinese language, but I was already fluent in Chinese language before coming to China. So people felt like, oh, she must have really prepared, to come to China, that she went and learned the language. While they are not wrong, there is a lot more to that. I will be breaking it down to you guys in this video, telling you guys how my experience was learning the Chinese language and why you should choose a language, a foreign language of import, and learn as well. So I hope that this video will help you if you are interested in learning a new language. Now, my journey of learning Chinese language started back in Nigeria at the Confucius Institute in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, located in Anambra State, Nigeria. I did get my bachelor's degree from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I studied history and international relations, and whilst I was studying there in the university, there was a Confucius Institute that was set up sometime in 2008 to teach people Chinese language. Now, mind you, I got into university in 2014 and I started learning Chinese language in 2017 actually, and then I graduated 2018. But like, Chinese language had been going on, like people had been learning Chinese language a long time, even before I got into the university. At the time when the Chinese Language Institute was founded, a lot of people weren't interested in learning Chinese. The few people who went to learn, they were laughed at, they were mocked, sort of. It's like, you're learning Chinese, what are you gonna do with that? Like, they faced a lot of these challenges, but trust me, those people who learned Chinese language at the beginning were also the ones who got like the best out of it. They were the ones who got the best dividends out of it, I can tell you hands down. By the time I came to learn Chinese, it was already a hot cake, so to speak. A lot of people were already learning Chinese. There were more and more Chinese companies opening up in Nigeria, and so there were lots of translating jobs that you could get, being a translator for one of these Chinese companies, and the salaries were very, very competitive at the time. I do remember some of my friends starting to learn Chinese, and so we were like, oh, okay, let's go learn Chinese and stuff like that. The time when I started learning Chinese was in my third year. For some reason, I had procrastinated for the long time. We were supposed to start learning in first year actually, and first year came and passed. I was like, okay, I'm not ready to, because it was going to be a situation of learning Chinese language part-time while studying my major. So I felt like, oh, I didn't have the time, or I felt like it was going to be too hectic and I wouldn't be able to cope. So I decided to push it to like my second year. Now, second year came, and second year was even crazier than first year. If you know, I don't know if it's the same with like other universities or other disciplines, but like, I thought I was busy in first year because I was someone who was like very intentional with my studies. I wanted to graduate with the first class. So I mean, first year I was like, and then second year came and it was like buzz, even worse. Like, the schedule was even crazier. And then when it came to my third year, I realized that, oh, I'm almost graduating like from school. I will be graduating next year. So if I don't start studying Chinese now, what it will mean is that after 2018, when I graduate from school, I would have to stay back in Oka, like in Unizik Oka, just to study Chinese language and doing nothing else. To be honest, this revelation or this picture was painted clearly to me by my roommate at the time. Her name is Lucy. I don't know if she's going to see this video, but Lucy, if you do see this video, shout out to you, girl, shout out to you. I think she was like my final push or motivation to actually register and start learning Chinese, because she was like, Gloria, think about it. if you don't start learning Chinese, because at the time usually it would take 1.5 years or 2 years for you to learn from the HSK 1 to HSK 5 or HSK 6 is the required, like what was required for you to say, oh, okay, you've learned Chinese language. And if you wanted to go to China to further your studies and things like that, that was like the minimum required grade, right? And she was like, think about it. If you don't start studying Chinese now that you're in year 3, if you start maybe in final year, it means you're going to have to spend 1 extra year, you know, in Oka just studying only Chinese. And so that was not something that sounded like fun. Coupled with the fact that she had also started learning Chinese at the time, a lot of my other friends were already learning Chinese. So I'm just like, okay, so if I don't pick up, if I don't start learning Chinese now, I would be left behind, sort of like I will be the only one here after others had graduated and left. I will be the only one here or just studying Chinese. That did not sound like fun. So I buckled my 2 shoes, put on my serious girl pants, and I got right into business. Okay, you guys, I was doing my, and you know, 300 level final year. Now it's like, oh, you have to get materials for your thesis, you have to write your thesis, and da 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 da. It was not a funny experience, to be honest, but I started learning Chinese. We had classes, so usually I would go from my department, which is history, to Chinese department to take classes, sometimes under the hot and scorching sun. Studying Chinese was not beans, let me put it that way. What that means is that studying Chinese, it was not convenient, honestly, because sometimes I would even have my class clash with like Chinese classes. Sometimes I would be in class and maybe we're waiting for the lecture, like in my history class, waiting for the lecturer, and the lecturer isn't showing up, or the lecturer is delaying, and my friends and I were just like, oh, we have Chinese class in like the next 20 minutes. So we would leave history class and go to Chinese class, and maybe because we thought, oh, the lecturer wouldn't show up, only for us to be in Chinese class and now hear that the lecturer eventually came. And it's just like, okay, it is what it is. Okay, we couldn't have killed ourselves because maybe he had delayed and we thought he wouldn't show up. But yeah, those were some of the sacrifices that we had to make. Some days we had to be really, really serious. I don't know if some of the people that I studied Chinese with back in the day at Nnamdi Azikiwe University Confucius Institute see this video, they'll be like, girl, you're taking me back. It was such a crazy time, you guys. For some reason, we were so in love with Chinese language, and it was such a competitive scenario, because like I said, at this time a lot of people had begun to see the dividends that comes from learning Chinese language. You can get a job, you know. As at that time, I remember people who finished learning Chinese, and it's not even as if they learned up to level 6. Some people stop at level 4, level 5, and then they'll just go and get a job, and they'll be earning like, let's say 250k at the time. You know, this was a lot of money, like 250k, 300k. Some people were even earning 500, 1 million, depending on the company you were lucky enough to land a job at, right? So at this time, it was already a survival of the fittest kind of thing. I remember sometimes we would even go to class and literally there would be no seats left. Like the whole class would be, it's like, I'm talking about a really big, a really long, vast hall. But because of the amount of people who came to learn Chinese, there will be no seats left. Sometimes you have to bring your seats when you're coming with you, so you just perch somewhere and learn. It was crazy, you guys, but that's how it usually was. I remember in level 1 it was that crowded, but you know how they say, you know, everybody starts but not everybody finishes, because there's a grace for finishing, you'd be told. So a lot of people at the beginning have the enthusiasm, like, oh, let's do this, let's do this, and then after some time you see people start withdrawing. Some people couldn't keep up. Some people were also like me, combining it with their regular majors, and it was very tasking, to be honest, because you had to learn, you had to do listening, you had to go home and write characters, learn characters, write them like 100 times, 200 times. Guys, it was not easy. This is also like tip number 1. Nothing in this world, nothing good in this world comes easy. Okay, for every good thing that you get, you are going to have to put in a reasonable amount of hard work. So don't quit, okay? Just at the beginning, when the going gets tough, don't quit. I am very, very grateful for my friends that we learned Chinese with together at this time, because I don't know if I would have coped if not for them, right? And we were motivating each other, like, even if not consciously, even if not telling each other, oh, you can do it, you can do it, but just see that your friend is still showing up for classes, your friend is still at it, your friend is still doing this. Charlie, you have to sit up. Like, you would tell yourself that, oh, I can't give up, no, it's like share na your own bad pass ni. And I even had, I think at that time, one of my classmates and my very close friend as well, her name is Lovely. She was, I think then she was like in level, like when I started she was already in level 4 or level 5 or something, and then she had like a lot more work to do, because at this point it's like they're writing like a lot more characters, they're writing like a lot, like they're doing like big girl stuff like in the Chinese language world. And me, I'm just like in level 1, level 2. So I'm just like, if Lovely is doing this thing and she's still going for classes, because we're in the same department in history, and she's still going for classes and doing, why can't I, you know? So we were encouraging each other like that. I'm so grateful for my friends that I had to push me at that time. That was basically how we were keeping up with classes, and before you know it, and because of the desire, the enthusiasm, like I don't know how, but somehow I found myself immersed in wanting to actually learn this new language, to explore this new world. Okay, like, and we had a very dear teacher at that time, Mr. Shu. Some of you know, some of you that know, right? His name is Shu Lao Shi, like we call him in Chinese, and that man is literally the sweetest teacher I have ever had in my whole entire life. That man literally poured blood and sweat into teaching us Chinese language. Like, he literally gave himself up for us to learn Chinese language. My class at the time, and because of the way he was so dedicated, a lot of people loved him and a lot of people attended his class. Like I said, in level 1 we were like a lot of people, and then level 2 some people began to drop out, so it wasn't so crowded all of a sudden. Like, you go to class and you actually see seats. So I remember when we finished level 1, I did the exam and I got 100 over 100. That's something we call Manfen. Manfen is like full score. That's also something that we used to use and brag then, like in Confucius Institute. So I was one of the people that got Manfen, and to be honest, in that level 1 I wasn't even as crazy serious as the other people that were in class. So that was really what encouraged me. I told myself, oh, if I can be doing like I was doing and get Manfen, it means that I do have, like, I have a flair for the language, like I can do good at it, right? So I decided to, you know, become even better and become even more serious. So level 2 again, we wrote level 2 exam. I got Manfen, like I got 100 over 100, and I'm just like, okay, Chinese language, here we come. And so, like I said at the time, I learned Chinese for like 1.5 years instead of 2 years. His favorite teacher of ours, Mr. Shu, it's like when we were in level 2, he started teaching us like the content of level 3. So he wanted us basically to move from level 2 to level 4. Okay, so but there was a level 3 class that another teacher was handling. So I don't know if everybody knows that this is what happened, but we love Mr. Shu so much that we didn't want to finish level 2 and then go to level 3. I don't know about others. Let me talk about myself. But I have a feeling that's also what it was like for other people. So we didn't want to finish level 2 and go to level 3 and be in another teacher's class. Like, we wanted him to continue to take us basically. So from level 2 we started learning like level 3 like content, and you guys, it was not easy. I almost gave up at this point because it was not easy, because I think from level 3 was when you started like really writing characters, and pinyin disappears from there's no more pinyin, because you know when it has to do with Chinese language, you have the, when at the beginning levels, level 1, level 2, you have the pinyin aspect, you have the characters. So the pinyin helps you to read the character, but from level 3 you have to actually know the character to know how to read it. The pinyin is no longer there. So but somehow we did it, and then we moved to level 4, and so that was how I was able to finish learning my Chinese and get my level 5 certificate in 1.5 years instead of 2. So we basically jumped from level 2 to level 4. We didn't do level 3. And the funny part of this story is that in as much as we jumped, our Chinese was still good. Like, our Chinese was still improving. Myself and my classmates at the time that Mr. Shu was teaching. Previously you could go to China with like level 4 and things like that, but then we started at level 5 too. I think level 5, but not a very high score. But during our set we heard that that the requirements had changed, and you could only go to China with level 6 certificate or level 5 certificate of a score of 200 is it 240 and above? I can't remember right now, but it's like the requirements started becoming higher, you guys, as more and more people were coming to learn Chinese language. At this point, there were like tons and tons and tons of people coming to learn Chinese. Already a lot of people had gone to China from learning Chinese, and so it just had to happen. But that made us even all the more determined, and at the end of the day I wrote my level 5 exam, and I think I got a score of 256 over 300. You guys, though that level 5 exam was legit one of the most difficult exams I ever wrote in my life, because the rush and the mad frenzy with which we learned Chinese is just God. Because then we're also done, we're wrapping up our bachelor's, and we wanted to go to China to do our masters. So we needed to get that level 5 certificate and pass the exam to be able to secure a scholarship for masters here in China. Okay, I hope you guys get like the gist. That was why the exam was like very important. I remember I read so much, you guys. I studied so much, I prayed so much. Like, did you know those days when you're in the exam hall, and you know the way we write Chinese exam, it's like strict. Nothing like expo, nothing like asking anybody, nothing like malpractice, because they are gonna catch you. They have cameras everywhere, right? So it's like you're on your own, and then the listening part comes on. Praying all the prayers you know in your head, so that you get what they say and mark the answers correctly. But thanks be to God, I passed my level 5 exam, and I was above and beyond, like, with joy. We also did our speaking exam. It's called Koyu. I passed that also. I think I got to 83 or 84 over 100. I've never really had problems with my speaking, honestly. Of course, after we passed those exams, we were able to apply for scholarships to come and do masters here in China. And some of our classmates then applied for bachelors. Some people applied for like 1 year Chinese language. The score that I got, you know, afforded me the ability to come to China to do masters. I know that this has been a very long story up to this point, but now let me tell you guys how Chinese language changed my life. Honestly, when I think about it, I really don't know what my life would have been if I hadn't gone to study Chinese. I strongly believe that it was God that led my life in the path and in the direction of going to study Chinese, because after I had graduated from school, before our results came out and we're able to go to China, I quickly secured a job working somewhere in Lagos. Like, that was my first time of going to Lagos. So I worked in Lagos for like a long time before I moved to China. And even when I was working in Lagos, you guys, I was earning an unbelievable amount of money as my salary for a fresh graduate at that time, like when compared to like the average fresh graduate salary earner. Guys, I was earning money. Not only was I earning money, I was coming in contact with like important people, like in society and things like that. I was getting to know like important people. Basically, I enjoyed in that my job, I'm not gonna lie, because even aside from like my basic salary, I used to get a lot of tips from, you know, different places. See, people that know, okay. And this was only made possible because I could speak Chinese language. And not just me, I'm sure that there are a lot of my friends at that time who we all, you know, learned Chinese together, and they were all, you know, in their respective place doing very well, earning very good salaries and saving up very, very good money, right? The fact that Chinese language enabled me to get like a very well-paying job at the time. Let's not talk about, you know, what translators earn currently. It's also not so bad. It's better than what the average, you know, graduate without knowledge of Chinese would earn, but then it was like way more, right? So even when I came to China, I know a lot of people that left Nigeria. It's like they jackpot from Nigeria because they are trying to run away from hardship, or they're trying to find greener pastures. Honestly speaking, my coming to China wasn't necessarily to find greener pastures, okay, because my pastures were already looking really green in Nigeria where I was working. And if I had worked there for a long time, I mean, it would have even gotten better. I just left because I wanted to experience the world. I wanted to explore the world. I wanted to, you know, have an experience at traveling internationally. I'm so glad I did. Basically, the Chinese language that I learned learned in school at that time have paved the way, you know, for where I am today. And I can't complain, honestly. I'm so grateful to God. Knowing Chinese language have opened so many doors to me, more than I can even mention in this video. And I don't know what would have happened otherwise if I hadn't learned Chinese. That's why I told you guys that Chinese language literally changed the course of my life. What if I hadn't learned Chinese and I had just studied something like history and international studies? I mean, what kind of job would I get? How much would I earn? Especially for a person who came from, to be honest, below middle class, right, in Nigeria. Because I wouldn't say I came from a middle class family. My family, my backgrounds, they are quite humble. I know that for some people who are from more privileged backgrounds, oh, when they graduate, it's like they have an uncle somewhere who can fix them somewhere, and you know they're earning so amount of money. But for people like us that don't have any uncle, any aunt, anybody anywhere, you literally have to survive, like start from the bottom up. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for Chinese language. I'm so grateful for China. I'm so grateful for everything that I have gotten in my life because I went to study Chinese language. So I'm really just going to wrap up this video here. I hope that this video has inspired someone, has inspired you, or encourages you if you're currently trying to learn a new language and maybe you're feeling discouraged, or someone is trying to talk you out of it, like, oh, what you're doing is trash, or what you're doing will not yield anything, is a waste of time. Don't believe them, okay? I mean, there's so many languages that we can learn today that will really improve your life more than you know. There's Chinese language. If you want to learn Chinese, go for it. It's never too late. That's also one thing I should point out. It is never too late to learn like a new foreign language. French is also another language that I want to learn, even though I don't know how we're gonna go about it, because Duolingo is not enough, okay? Let's just be honest, unless you're like very serious about it. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. But there's so many languages, you know, that you can learn that will come in handy for you in the nearest future. So you guys, if you have an opportunity, do not take it for granted. Take that opportunity, like grab it, and you know, give it your best shot, and you never can tell, it just might change your life for good. I hope that this video has helped someone. If you got any value from it, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Also subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this that inspire you, you know, to be the best version of yourself. Thank you guys so much. Till I come your way next time, stay blessed, stay focused, stay praying, and stay winning. Bye guys.